What's going on, everybody? MC Andrew Love back on your screen and your speakers one more time with another edition of Let's Chat and Jam. In this episode, I bring to you a brother he's coming in from over there on the West Coast. That's where he's coming from because he's 3 hours behind me. So I had to figure out how I could get him on the show as well as be consistent with his time because I know he's tired. He just woke up not too long ago. With his brother here, man, I'm trying to tell you something, folks. He is one of those dope, influential hip-hop artists from back in the day. And he loved hip-hop so much that he had to go out and create his own hip-hop channel. And he even told his homies, he said, hey, I'm about to create a hip-hop channel, an independent hip-hop channel on this platform. It's called Live 365. And so he did that. And so his homies, the hip-hop kings, they're like, yo, we are definitely going to support this because it's really helping the culture. Because the FM channels decided, we're only going to play a certain few. So the brother here, his name is R.E.C. So without further ado, folks, let me bring in R.E.C.
Hey!
How's it
what
going,
an intro!
Man?
What an intro, my man. MC Andrew Love, how you doing, brother?
Right now, I'm having chills right now, like an out of body experience. Because
man,
I'm interviewing one of the goats from hip hop, and I was just in the Bronx the other day, like Saturday night, and I ran into Grandmaster Cass. You know Grandmaster Cass? Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he was they do this thing called Buds and Bars every month out there in New York City, and they travel between Brooklyn, the Bronx, and they bring this beautiful system for the independent artists to perform. They give them a platform, they allow them to go on the stage and do their thing, and it's a competition. Now, the cool thing about this competition is once they finish this competition, if the artist wins, he gets a distribution deal. It's really dope.
Oh, really?
Facts.
Wow.
So I had to go out there, man. I had to go out there and tap in. And I had to go see what the GOATs are doing. And, man, they are really getting it. And I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of independent hip-hop artists that I hear on the Block 105 radio. Then I figure, man, wouldn't these guys be really liking if they had the opportunity to go perform in New York City in front of some legends of hip-hop and actually show them just what kind of dope artists they really are? Because if they wasn't dope, they wouldn't be on your radio station, that's for sure.
Facts. Exactly. It's funny you say that, and shout out to Grandmaster Cass, man. You talk about GOATs. I mean, wow, that's about as far back as you can go with the GOATs. The beautiful thing about that, and I love that they're still doing that, you're talking 40 years later, 4 decades later, almost a half a century later, they're still doing that, and they're taking it back to where it started for them, because where it started for them was bringing a sound system out to the parks with a DJ and a microphone, and actually the DJ was the star back then, and the MCs were just trying to highlight the DJs. So here they are 40 years later, still coming out with their sound system, still coming out with DJs, and still putting MCs on. So shout out to the real GOATs, man. Grandmaster Cass and, the Bronx, Brooklyn, that's where it all started. So you got to love that.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Shout you out, R.E.C., man, because you decided to do something for the culture yourself. You decided to, go to a platform that's already in existence. And Live 365's got a lot of dope people using it for radio. And I'm talking Shaquille O'Neal, folks. Shaquille O'Neal got his own radio channel on Live 365. So I thought, well, damn. I saw R.E.C's Instagram. He went out there and he says, hey, broadcasters, podcasters, anyone out there that wants to bring their stuff on the radio and allow people in real time to hear your stuff, come on out here to the Block 105 radio and showcase your talents, because we got that 60-minute slot for you, because we're giving it away to independent broadcasters. And I saw that, man, and I was like, dang, that would be pretty dope if I did that. But I'm trying to figure out, what kind of show should I do? What kind of show can I really do that can piggyback off of what I'm already doing with Let's Chat and Jam? And then I was going to pick up my wife, and I was in the car, and the thing that said Undiscovered Gems just popped in my head. Undiscovered Gems. And I said, oh man, that's a dope name right there, because these artists, some of them are undiscovered and they're really good, and that makes them gems. Because sometimes you can find gems in the middle of the forest, and the gems are just sitting there. Nobody's looking at the gem. They're just walking right by it. So I pick up the gem and I dust it off, and I'm like, this gem is rare. I got a dope one. Good find. I'm telling you something, man. That's when I decided to bring Undiscovered Gems, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And we've been doing it now for the last 43 weeks.
Yeah, you've been on almost a year now. You're coming up on your 1-year anniversary real soon. And I remember when you called me, when you first reached out to sign up for a time slot. A lot of times people have more questions than just the information we provide. They have additional questions. And I remember you reaching out to me and called me. We had a conversation on the phone so I could let you know really in depth what it was all about. We got you signed up, man. You're almost coming up on your 1 year. So salute my man, Andrew Love, Cat and Jams, Undiscovered Gems, almost a year deep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it morphed into different sounds. Like I was playing with it. I created an intro. I did the intro, and then my man who works at an FM radio station his name is DJ Kobe. I hit him up and I'm like, yo, dude, I need some voiceovers for my channel, man, my show, because I wanted to make it sound professional. And he's like, I got you, man. I got you. And he recorded my intro, my outro, and then my beginning parts. And then now I started having ideas for, intermittent stuff I could put in there, just to, instead of having ads, I could play these little spots. And man, I was like, this sounds good. That sounds like a radio show that I've heard on the FM back in the day. And then when I come on to the mic and I do my thing, the MC Andrew Love thing, like I'm doing right now, man, yeah, that's
bringing that energy.
Yeah, and I do this with every interview, every radio show. I come in with passion. I go on stage, I do an MC gig. I'm coming in with passion, man. That's what it takes to really bring the artist over, because people don't know the artist. And so you want to be able to tell the people who the artist is and make the artist feel good too. So while they're on your show, they're like, wow, man, this brother here is serious.
You got to make it an experience for him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And you always do that.
Which I'm going to tell you something. This is an experience for me, because I'm sitting here in front of the GOAT, R.E.C. I got a lot of respect. I got to salute you, my brother, because you've done a lot. So that brings me to some of my questions that I'm going to ask you today. And one of the questions I'm going to ask you is, when did you decide that hip-hop was what it is you had to do?
Okay, so hip-hop started for me. I originally started by really back in the b-boy days, back in the 80s. So I really fell in love with breakdance music first. Well, let me back up a little bit. It all started for me as a drummer. I was a professional drummer still am, but I have been for 35 years. But I started as a drummer, and my dad was a professional drummer as well. And that's what really gave me the love for beats and rhythms, like that's when I fell in love with snares and kicks and just drum loops in general, because I would play drums every single day. Then fast forward a couple of years, breakdance music started to reveal itself. And back in those days, it was cassette tapes, and we would go to the swap meet every weekend. And I remember they were playing this one tape. It was some breakdance tape, I didn't know who it was at the time, but I was like, man, that's so dope. And this is before like Beat Street and Breakin' and the movies. This is before that. Um, I heard the beat and they had a little ghetto blaster set up at the swap meet that was playing it. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's this cassette. And that was the first cassette I ever bought. And it was called, you guys can look this up on YouTube or Google it. It was called Larry Wolf and the Street Beaters. Look that up. 1980, I would say between 1981 and 1985, somewhere in there. Larry Wolf and the Street Beaters. So I bought that tape, and it was just like the dopest breakdance music. And I just started finding neighborhood kids that also fell in love with it, and we started breakdancing. And eventually, the breakdancing got bigger. And in 1984, I put together my own breakdance crew called the Mini Breakers. I was in fifth grade. Fifth grade, I had my own crew, and we started doing competitions and stuff. We did the school. My elementary school had a talent show called the Up Up and Away Talent Show. So we did that. We ended up winning that, and from there, that's where it just grew. But that's where it started. It started with breakdancing for me back in the 80s.
Wow, breakdancing. I
Yep.
remember breakdancing when I was a kid, and they used to be like cliques. Like people used to hang out together, be groups of people. They call them gangs, and then they would meet up. But instead of going and doing drive-bys, they was doing breakdancing. And then
Yep.
they go to each other like, "Yo, my crew, meet your crew, and we'll meet up and we'll see who the best is." And
Yeah.
they bring their boom box and they play their hip hop, they Run DMC or their Beastie Boys or their R.E.C. And
They weren't playing me yet. I was still dancing.
they playing that stuff and they break dancing and they ain't getting it. And that's how they would battle. They would battle through dancing.
Exactly.
I miss those days, man.
Me too, man. It was, that was really not only my first introduction into hip hop, but it was my first introduction into battling. It was my first introduction into ciphers, because that's essentially what it was. When you had either a one-on-one dance battle going or you had crews going against each other, it was a cipher, just like MC battles are today. It was the same thing, but it was dancing. And it was just something that was so expressive. And the music was so new. Breakdance music back then was so new. That was the first form of real electronic music, where music was being done on real early drum machines. And just the rhythm, man. And being a drummer, finding a form of music that had that rhythm that was kind of going through my veins as a drummer was just something I had never heard before. So it was like electrifying to me. I loved breakdancing. And without that, I don't think anything would have ever popped off. I don't think I ever would have became like what I am today in terms of a hip hop artist.
Wow. That's pretty dope. Now me, I never was much of a break dancer.
No?
Too much physical stuff. I mean, you have to do cartwheels. I mean, you really have to be in shape to break dance. Like, you couldn't be a fat person in the break dance. It just wasn't going to work. You have to be Slim Jim.
Slim with the tilted brim,
Yeah. But, man.
It was super physical. It was definitely like a really good like cardio workout. All your muscles, you're using muscle groups that you don't use when you walk, when you ride a bike, when you do all these things. There were different muscles when you're doing flares and windmills and spinning on your head and your back. And I mean, you're really using muscles in your body that you didn't even know were there. So it was a really, really good workout. I couldn't do it now. That's for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't do it then. And I don't even think I was that big. I think I was, I thought I was a big kid, but I don't think I really was.
Yeah.
But you've been doing music. You got you was in the breakdancing, so you got into hip hop through the breakdancing, because you're like, oh man, this is really good stuff here. I like this. I think I could do this.
Yeah.
When you got into the industry, what did you see? Like, how different was it then than it is today?
Wow. Well, I'll break it up into two on how I got in and how it's different. Um, how I ended up getting in was, I told you I was a drummer. By the time I was in high school, I was already a professional level drummer. I had played drums for several different bands. I played with every garage band, every neighborhood band, and everything from like cover bands to punk bands to ska bands, reggae bands, rock bands, hip hop groups, everything. I played drums for everybody. My dad was a professional drummer. He played drums for James Brown. So I grew up watching him and really grew up on funk and like funk rhythms, you know what I'm saying? Syncopated beats. That's why I think I sort of was given the gift of hip hop, because that funk syncopated rhythm was something I was bred into. But how I got started was I went to high school. Uh, I won't say this is how I got into hip hop, but this is how I got into the industry, the actual industry. So by the time I got into high school, there was a kid there. I won't say his name or the group name, but there was a kid at my high school that ended up, he was a rapper, and he would rap, at school. We'd be doing beats on the lunch tables. He'd be freestyling stuff. I wasn't rapping yet, and he ended up getting a record deal, and we were like best friends, in high school. So him getting a record deal and me being his best friend, I got to be on the inside of what was going on. Not only him getting his deal, but dealing with management, dealing with going to shows and performing. And then he put out his first single, and it came on the radio. It came on our local radio station, and it started to do really good and get some traction. And then one day I'm sitting at home, and MTV was on, and his video came on. So I was like, wow, like this really can't happen. So to go from the guy on the couch watching the TV and seeing artists inside the TV to being the guy inside the TV is doable, because this is my guy and I'm watching him. So I got to see that it was obtainable and it was real. And that was my first look into the industry, and my first into the industry. And then I just kind of I'm like a sponge. And to this day, I'm like a sponge. If I'm hungry for something, I will study the game and I will master it in every single way. So that's what I did. I basically just rolled with him and soaked up as much game as I could until I formulated my own blueprint to get in myself.
Wow.
That's how I was introduced to the industry. In terms of your second question on how it's different, completely different now. Back in those days, like I'll give you an example. Back in those days, fast forward, I become a rapper, start looking for my own record deal. Well, back in those days, you had to really like hit the streets to get in anywhere. To first, you got to get the streets buzzing and let them know, and then you got to kind of put together your own street team. We would have backpacks full of CDs and cassettes. We would press up cassettes, vinyl records. We took all the vinyl records and made sure every DJ in the country had it. We would take backpacks full of CDs and cassettes and go to every major market. We would go to New York. We would go to, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Texas, wherever, and just hand them out for free. Yo, you got to get put onto this, because this was before you could drive around with a vehicle that was wrapped. You couldn't wrap a vehicle back then. You literally just had to go take little 8x10 pictures and staple them to telephone poles and stick them up on walls and reach in your backpack and just put everybody up on game and let them know that you were out there. There was no social media. There was no following on Instagram. This was just putting it directly in their hand and getting the streets buzzing. And nowadays, it's a digital world where they don't even have hard copies of CDs or anything anymore. They have them, you could get them, but they're useless. Nobody presses them up anymore. It's all about Spotify. It's all about Tidal. It's all about just digital market, digital media. So the way that music is distributed is much different, and the way that you obtain fans and an audience is much different nowadays.
Yeah. Another thing that's different is the way people watch TV, the way
Oh yeah.
people consume entertainment.
Yep.
It's like before you'd have to wait. Like you'd have to wait the following season to get your TV show, you get your fix. And another thing, I also know how they call it a year. Like TV shows would be longer. It'd be they go from September to June. It would be
Yeah.
a lot longer cycle. Maybe
Yep.
because there was not as much TV out there at the time, so they could do that. They could have shows that were longer because people were in the house.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a year like a season may be 8 shows, so it may
Yeah.
be 8 weeks, and that would
Right.
be a full season. So now you got to wait till October of next year to get that show.
Yeah.
Y'all know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, USA Network. Y'all know what show I'm talking about. And even The Walking Dead, when that first came out, The Walking Dead started in October, and that lasted for years. But you know, AMC, I just wanted to say this, AMC. I really got hurt when Rick died, man. When Rick died, to me, that's when the show ended for me. That's that. I can't watch it no more. My man's gone. My man's
Yeah.
gone. But I got a shout out to the makers of Walking Dead, man. Those guys are really dope. I love people that make really good stuff, really good content. I
Yeah.
love content creators, man. Content creators to me are the backbone of entertainment as we see it.
Yep.
Because if it wasn't for people that have ideas like Vince McMahon with his WWE, you know, he came out with that and he just totally changed the game of professional wrestling and he made it sports entertainment.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, it's like a soap opera for guys. Yes,
Yeah, and I remember
do
when
that.
I remember when it was the WWF.
Oh yes, I do remember that too, and I remember when they changed it over because legal issues.
Yeah.
So content creators to me are dope, but what's really cool is the people who have the platforms. The people that have the platforms that allow the content creators to then do what they do and do what they love and they have passion for it and be able to provide it on a platform for people to ingest it. And that's
Exactly.
what I love about the Block 105 radio, because I'm not the only person on there that creates content. R.E.C. has accumulated, amassed lots of talented content creators in his time being on Live 365. And it's kind of amazing how you bring out the people. Like you reached out to your homies in the industry and told them, hey man, we're going to give back to the culture. We're going to allow these independent hip hop artists, these really good ones, to use my platform and to be able to be known. People hear them, and they can be make royalties while they're on here too at the same time. And you did
Absolutely.
that, and you did that because then you started. Then other artists started checking in, like Method Man, your homie Method Man, and he's like
Redman.
yeah, Method Man, Redman, they're both dope.
Yeah, they're like one. That's like one person. Red
Yeah,
and
as
Meth.
soon as
They're
I
like one
say
person.
Redman, people think Method Man. If I say Method, they think Redman.
Yeah.
Redman and Method Man. How High was my favorite movie.
Yeah, man. Salute. Hey, salute to Redman. Salute to Meth. Salute to the whole Wu Tang. Salute to really just all those East Coast artists, man. I grew up on East Coast music, so I've always said I'm a West Coast artist with an East Coast heart, and that's how I was raised. I would have never have been the MC or the artist I became without East Coast music, by like bar none.
See, I thought, I always thought, this is what I assumed. See, this is what they say, folks. You can't assume anything. But I assumed that you was from either one of the boroughs. I've always thought this.
Yeah.
I said, this brother's got to be from New York City.
A lot of people think that. A lot of people think that, and it's funny because back when I was an artist, and I'm still an artist, I'm just retired. We could talk about that later. But as an artist, being on the block, a lot of times, because I try to highlight all of you guys. It's not the Block 105 radio isn't about me, it's about the people. And so a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people think, my nationality, or they think I'm black. They don't even know I'm white. Like they have no clue, let alone where I'm from, the East Coast or the West Coast. And I love that. I love that my music and my voice and my cadence and everything delivers a certain vibe to people. So if you hear one of my songs and you think that I'm from the East Coast, I love that, because that means that there's something in my music from my influences on the East Coast that are coming out in my music, and I wouldn't want anything more than that. I mean, I love the fact that my influences show in my own art,
Right. That's dope. And that's a question I was going to ask you. Who are some of your greatest influences? Like, who are those guys that brought you into the dance?
Man, I have so many, and they go through like different eras. But I would say starting early, one of my biggest influences was definitely LL Cool J. I loved LL Cool J, man. I loved Slick Rick. I loved KRS-One, BDP. I loved Public Enemy. I loved Ice Cube, man. I loved Ice-T. Ice-T was like Ice-T was like one of the first ones to bring that West Coast sort of real look at the city, like what's really going down. He, I guess the world calls it gangster rap, but he was the first one for me that I listened to and went, wow, like, okay, like this is like him reporting the news of South Central Los Angeles, where I'm in Los Angeles. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so I'm like, wow. And that was my first glimpse inside of the idea that you could utilize music to bring awareness to a situation or bring awareness to a city. Like, think about it. Think about groups like NWA, which was another huge influence. The Beastie Boys was a huge influence. That's just some of the early cats. And, moving on into the later, the Biggies and the Jay-Z's and the Nas's, yes, all major influences on me, but that was later. That was more 90s, 2000s. But imagine getting a look at that where you're at. So I could drive by where I grow up. I could drive by a street that says Crenshaw, a street that says Slauson, a street that says, I'm trying to think in Downing. What was it? Like Rubidoux Boulevard, not Rubidoux Boulevard, but in Downing. So all these streets that you drive by every day, and they're just streets to you. But then you hear a guy like Ice-T say the name of that street in a song. And now all of a sudden Crenshaw Boulevard becomes something. Like, it becomes this worldwide sort of destination. It was just a street that I would drive through. And now it's Crenshaw, like he put it on the map. So it was my first look into seeing how an artist can really bring awareness to whatever it is, whether it's the inner city, whether it's music, no matter what. Like, it just becomes real for you at that point. So those were some of my real early influences. And that was more like hip hop influences as an MC that kind of evolved, like with Nas. Well, I have a funny story about Ice-T real quick, because I love Ice-T. Shout out to Ice-T. That's my guy. Funny story. So I used to go all the time. I used to go at least once, twice a week to watch the taping of the Arsenio Hall show. Remember the Arsenio Hall show?
Oh, yes, I do.
So I was in that audience probably twice a week. I was there every fucking week, man. I used to love Arsenio because he was the only late night dude that would have hip hop featured on the show. You never got hip hop on Johnny Carson or anything like that. So Arsenio was like, he was one of us in terms of hip hop culture. So I went there one night, and Ice-T was performing, and he was performing New Jack Hustler. Remember the song New Jack Hustler?
Do I?
Yeah. So check this out. And this is like I said earlier, you know, you could go from the guy on the couch watching TV to the guy inside the TV so quick. And so all of a sudden I'm at Paramount Studios. I'm getting ready to, you know, see Ice-T do New Jack Hustler, see Arsenio again. And the ushers start taking us down to our seats. So I'm in the second row in the middle, like right in the middle in the second row. Right to my right is Ice-T's wife in the seat next to me, which this was when he was married to the girl that was on the Ryan Pace cover, like with the machine guns and the G string, the like the like the Asian looking chick, beautiful. So she's right next to me to my right. To her right is Big Daddy Kane. And I'm freaking out, right? to the right of Big Daddy Kane was John Bon Jovi.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm looking down this row, like, how did I get here? Like how is this even possible right now? You know, Ice-T comes out, he does New Jack Hustler, and his wife sang every single word. She was rhyming every single word that he was doing. And I just thought that was the dopest thing, that not only did she like support him, but she's sitting there just rhyming every word. She knew everything front to back. And I was just flabbergasted that I landed somehow in a row with his wife, Big Daddy Kane, John Bon Jovi, and I'm 5 feet away from Ice-T. I'm a kid back then. So that was a big day for me. That was just making everything more and more real. All these things that I did as a kid, things like that, things like seeing my buddy in high school get a deal, all these things, every time I touched Hollywood, every time I touched the industry from a real industry standpoint, it just made it more real and more obtainable for me. And that kept fueling me. That kept fueling me, saying, I could be the guy on that stage. I could be the guy in that TV, you know, and that's what just really fueled my whole grind.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man.
If you had any advice for some of the young folks that want to do what you're doing, let's say get into broadcasting, like I love broadcasting, or get into hip hop, get into rapping, or get into producing, what would you tell them?
I would say, one, only do it if it's genuinely a passion. Don't do it because it seems like a good idea and other people are doing it. And I'll give you an example. Like me as a recording artist, I've done, I don't know, thousands of songs, records, over my lifetime. I've never gone into a studio once to try to create a song. I've never sat there and with a beat going, or making a beat, or writing a rhyme and trying to think about what I could do. Every time I stepped into a studio, it was because it was oozing out of me in so many ways. I couldn't wait to get it on paper. I couldn't wait to get in the booth. If I had a beat, that beat would talk to me. That, like, it really would talk to me, like almost like telepathy. I would hear a beat, and all of a sudden, when the hook for that beat comes on, it just starts talking to me and words start coming. I hear the verses and stories just start coming to me visually. So I couldn't write fast enough. Like, it would just ooze out of me. So that's what I mean by real passion. I wrote songs and made records because I didn't know how not to. Like, I didn't know what else to do with what was going on inside of me. I didn't know how to place this passion other than that. Like, so it was really genuinely oozing out of me. I had to write songs. I had to produce beats. I had to play drums. I had to do all these things because it was like my therapy. I'll give you an example. If you take a kid or a child with ADD, that's attention deficit disorder, and they don't know how to place their energy, they're running all over the fucking house. They're messing with the dog. They're breaking shit. They're tapping their leg. They're just all over the place because they don't know where to place that energy. So a parent might give them a prescription pill like Ritalin or something and say, hey, calm down. That's how I was. But all of my energy that I was feeling, all of the passion I was feeling, everything inside of me, I was always able to release it on music. I was always able to go play my drums and feel, oh, okay, I got that out of my system. I was always able to write music and go, okay, I got that out of my system. Or go into the lab and start making beats and doing drum loops and bass lines and chord progressions, all these things, and it would get it out of my system. So it was really completely therapeutic for me. I found where I could place all my energy. So it was a natural thing for me. So that's what I would say. If it's not natural for you, find what is natural for you. And that might be music, it might be rapping, it might be acting, it might be comedy, it might be drawing, it might be building, doing woodwork. Like, I don't know what anyone's passion is, but my biggest advice would be try everything that sounds interesting, and whatever you feel gives you the most satisfaction, go with that. Don't try to do something because somebody else. Don't go on Instagram and go, oh, I want to be a rapper because I see other rappers wearing chains, taking pictures in front of a Lamborghini that's not theirs, and that's what I want to do. I want that look. That's a false image, and it's a false path to follow if you're not naturally drawn to that. So just find your real passion and follow that. It doesn't have to be hip hop, but if you can tap into what your real passion is, you hit the lottery.
Yeah, you're right about that. It took me some years to figure out this is my passion, talking to people, getting people to tell me about their story.
Exactly.
Speaking of story, what are some of your greatest influence? Not influence. I'm glad I'm recording this. What do you think is your greatest accomplishment so far in your career? And if you haven't reached that pinnacle yet, where would you like to take this?
My greatest accomplishment, well, I have to break that up into two. My greatest accomplishment in my career and my greatest accomplishment in life are two different things. My greatest accomplishment in life is my daughter, by a million miles. There's nothing else in my life that I've ever done better than creating her and having the opportunity to raise her and be a father. So that is my number one biggest accomplishment in life that trumps everything. It trumps music, it trumps careers, it trumps bank accounts, it trumps everything. I live and die for my daughter, and that is the only reason God sent me here, was to raise her and create a human that is 100 times better than me. And I'm so grateful for that and so blessed to have had, well, still to have that opportunity. So that's my greatest accomplishment in life. My greatest accomplishment in music or in my career, that's a tough one to answer because there was so many milestone achievements. You know what I'm saying? You put out a record, or one of your first goals early could be just to put an album out and have it be successful. I did that. To get on a tour and actually tour the world. I did that. To be able to perform with people that you grew up listening to that influenced you. I did that. To go gold, to go platinum. Like, you could set your mark and have small victories along the way. So I have a lot of those, and I've been able to achieve all those by the grace of God. But I would say my biggest achievement is kind of where I'm at right now. And it's the opportunity to give light and shine light on other people. It's about giving back to the culture at this point, because hip hop culture raised me. It raised me from day one. And now I'm in a position where I can give back to hip hop culture by highlighting new artists, upcoming artists, by highlighting podcasters and broadcasters like yourself, by highlighting DJs, which started it off for me, DJs and breakdancing. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I would have never became who I became. So I guess I'm most proud of the opportunity to give back to the culture that gave me my entire life. So I would say that's my biggest achievement.
That's dope. I'm digging the vibes,
Yeah,
REC.
man.
I'm digging the
Yeah,
vibe.
man.
Well, I wanna personally thank you for coming to my show. I know we spoke about it in the past, trying to get you on here, but it's always scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
But
man.
I'm glad the scheduling conflicts got rectified. So now here we are today. But
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's it's really been a real eye opening experience talking to you today. And I do like the fact that you're a father, man. You're a father first, and it's like reality says I got a kid, so I have to take care of her to the best of my ability because that's what God put me here for. So let me
Yep.
do that, and then I could do the other stuff. And that,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, man, that's really cool because there's a lot of kids out here that they can't even look for their dad because they don't even know where he is. And
Yep.
there's a lot of daughters out here that are growing up without fathers. And so
Yep.
that now these girls are growing up looking for, let's say, their father figure. And it becomes a mess because now you got all these kids being born and their fathers are gone.
Yeah.
It's a bad pandemic we're in when it comes to family life. And
Yeah, it's a vicious circle. You know, they grow up without a mother, without a father. Um, my daughter has no mother, so she's part of that. She deals with that same issue. That's why I think I am the father that I am. So my daughter, which is not something I ever talk about in interviews, but her donor, I call her donor because you got to earn the title as a mother. If you want somebody to call you a mother or a father, you got to earn that. Because you had a baby doesn't give you the right to call yourself a parent, a mother, a father. You got a parent to earn that. And so her donor, we had the baby, and she just made a hard left turn immediately, like right away. And I knew that that wasn't the way I was raised, and I knew that that wasn't the way I was going to raise my daughter. So we split up. I mean, my baby was days old, brand new, and I fought for custody for like a year and 4 months, and I ended up getting full custody, full legal, sole physical custody. And it's been me and my daughter since day one without her donor. And my daughter's almost 20 years old. So it's been Bonnie and Clyde 20 years. And but she dealt with that. She dealt with that issue of the abandonment, and why didn't she want to be in my life? Why didn't she choose me over what she did choose? But she, you know what, she persevered through that, and she's grown up to just be an amazing young woman that's super strong. And that will make her experience, will make her not only a stronger woman, but a better mother when her time comes to be a mother. Just like my father being sort of absent in most of my life is what made me be a great father. Because instead of me taking the same route and continuing the cycle, I decided to take it and say, my daughter will never experience what I experienced because I will never make her feel that way. I will always be there. Every single day of her life, she will wake up and see me and be nurtured by me. We're going to cook breakfast. We're going to go to school. We're going to pack lunch boxes. We're going to go to games. We're going to go to ballet. I'm going to braid her hair. I learned how to braid her hair on YouTube when she was a baby because I didn't want my kid going to school with just a ponytail because I was a guy that didn't know how to do hair. So I turned to YouTube and said, what are cute hairstyles? How do I do braids? How do I do French braids? How do I do pigtails? How do I do all? I sent her to school in beautiful dresses every day, her hair done beautifully every day. She was the cutest little girl ever, because I wanted her to feel like a girl. I didn't want her looking like a lot of dads, and hey, God bless them just for being in their life. But a lot of dads don't take the time to do that. They just go, oh, I have a kid, throw some sweats and a baggy t-shirt and throw your hair up in a ponytail and call it a day. And I really went out of my way to make her be able to feel girly and be girly. And I mean, she used to do my nails. I would do her nails. Like I did everything a mother would have done as a father. When they had at school, they had mother-daughter day. I went. and I was the only guy in there. And I didn't care what we were doing. We could do nails, we could do hair. Hey, that's my whole life right there. That's the most important woman in my life.
That's dope, man. I'm digging the vibes. I like guys that take care of their kids, even single fathers. It's really good to see that. So I got a lot of respect for you, R.E.C. I really do.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I'll have a respect for you probably more now than I had before this phone call. Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so since you've been here for the first time, you've now become part of the Let's Chat and Jam fam, which means you don't have to wait for me to tap into you and say, hey, R.E.C., you want to come to the show? Nah. You can tap into my DMs over on Let's Chat and Jam at Instagram and say, hey, Drew, I got a new song I'm working on, or I got a new book that I wrote, or even I'm in a movie. Whatever it is you're doing, R.E.C., it's really important to me, and I want to know about it. So you give me a call, and I'm going to go in my calendar, and I'm going to say, deal, you in the show, let's go. But that's how easy it is when you're in the fam. So R.E.C. from L.A., welcome to the fam.
I appreciate it, my man. I appreciate it so much. Listen, I want to let everybody know, you got to tune in to Chat and Jams every Friday night, 11 p.m. East Coast. And then when the time changes, it'll go back to 10 p.m., right? We always got to follow that. But I love what you do, man. And I appreciate what you do. You're no different than me. I want to provide a platform for people like you, and you in turn are providing a platform for the artists and putting shine on different artists, other people in the industry, no matter if they're artists or producers or singers or rappers. So that's what it's all about. It's all about people like us extending the olive branch to let somebody else shine. Every day when I wake up, it's not about me shining. I don't care if I shine. I just ask God to let me allow someone else to shine. Let me find somebody else today that I can make their life a little more bright and put a little more shine on them, give them some encouragement, school somebody on how the game works, or just inspire people. Because once I'm gone, once I'm dead and gone, if there's, I've already put over 10,000 people on the radio. 10,000 rappers and singers that never had a chance to be on radio are now in daily rotation on the Block 105 radio. And when I'm dead and gone, that's going to live. That's never going to stop. So I'm already over 10,000 people, 10,000 artists. And that's what I do every day. I want to be able to give artists a chance to shine, give podcasters a place to shine, DJs, because when I'm gone, what do I have? The only thing I have is my legacy, what I contributed not only to my family but to the culture. And that's what it's all about for me. I just want hip hop culture to continue. Look at all the people in hip hop that have passed on already. I mean, we've lost so many greats, but I know that they're proud to see that hip hop continues after their death. There is life after death. Shout out Biggie, rest in peace. There's life after Biggie. There's life after Jam Master Jay. There's life after Big Pun. Hip hop has to continue. The culture has to continue. And we're lucky enough to have however many years we have in it. But all I want to know, if I'm really going to rest peacefully, when I die and people say rest in peace, I won't be at peace unless I know that my family is taken care of, and I know that hip hop culture is going to continue and that I contributed to it continuing, which is what I try to do every day.
Man, that's great. And with that said, I don't know what more can be said, but this has been a great conversation that I had with you, R.E.C., and I can't wait to have more down the line, man. But if people want to, get at you, or they want to, pick your brain, or hey, if they even want to have a podcast or a radio show on the Block 105, how can they do such? How can they get in contact with you?
Anybody can reach me directly. All you got to do is go to the Block 105 Radio's Instagram at the Block 105 Radio. Send me a DM. I answer all my DMs, whether you're inquiring about a time slot because you're a podcaster, or a DJ, or an artist looking for rotation. We deal with all of it. And if you just want to say what's up, if you want to do anything, you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at the Block 105 Radio. I answer every DM, and I'm more than happy to chat with people, answer questions, give advice, and also just give you the information you need on how to come to the Block 105 Radio and join our roster, our on-air roster. You too could become part of the Block 105 Radio fam, just like my man MC Andrew Love.
Well, I appreciate your time, R.E.C. I really do. It's been dope, everybody. And you've really, let me just say this, folks. There's not very many artists out here that are giving back, other than, like, say, LL Cool J. Actually, a lot of rappers from the older days, are giving back to the young folks. It's the fact that the older rappers feel like they're not being compensated for their music. Because you got to understand, their music is being sampled over and over and over again. So why not pay the pioneers that started this movement, pay them some money so they can say, hey, it has been worth my time. People are appreciating my art. Compensate them, man. Show them love. Matter of fact,
absolutely.
Go on out there and get on live and shout out one of your favorite rappers, man, because they are on Instagram and they are out there and they're watching and they're looking for young folks to give them some clout. Give them some clout. Show them their flowers, man. Before they die, show them love. Don't wait until they're gone, because that's what a lot of people do. We wait. Oh, J Master J is gone. He's one of the best DJs ever lived. Well, did you tell him that? No, you didn't. You waited, and now he's gone. Now you tell him. It's too late to tell him when he's gone. So tell him when they're alive. MC Shan, he's still out and popping. He's still one of those brothers that are representing the Queensbridge. MC Shan is still doing his thing. Tap in to MC Shan. Tell him, hey, man, yo, you're still dope. You're still MC Shan.
MC Shan. Shout out to MC Shan and Marley Marl, of course. Legends.
Yes. But anyway, thank you so much for coming through. I do appreciate your time. And folks, thank you for tapping in. Thank you for watching us on YouTube Live. Thank you also for checking us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio. It's also, thank you for checking us out on the Block 105 Radio every Friday at 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we bring you some of the illest artists. And now we're bringing you one of the illest artists by the name of R.E.C. He has joined the roster of the Let's Chat and Jam fam, and he's going to be part of the fam for the rest of his life. So I hope you enjoy it, because now you're in the VIP. This means that
I appreciate it.
Wait list for you. Anytime you want to come on the show, you tap in, you say, hey, I got something to talk about. Can we get on the show? And I'm like, yes, you can. No wait list. You are in the VIP. Well, thank you so much for your time, R.E.C.
Thank you, brother.
Do you have anybody you want to shout out before you go?
Yeah, I always want to shout out just all of our broadcasters on the Block 105 Radio, all of our podcasters, all of our DJs, all of the artists that we feature, and just shout out to you, my man. I appreciate what you do. That's what I always tell people. The Block 105 Radio would not be what it is without the team that we have, and you're part of that team. Every broadcaster we have makes up a part of that team. So a radio station is only as good as its team, and I always say we got the best team in the game, my man. So shout out to you, shout out to all the broadcasters on the block, and shout out to all the fans around the world that tune in every day and listen to the Block 105 Radio. We broadcast worldwide. We're in 39 countries now. We were in 37, but we just picked up Thailand and the Philippines. So now we're in 39 countries around the globe, man, and just making it grow every day. So shout out to everybody accumulatively that makes the block what it is, because without all of you guys, it wouldn't be the Block 105 Radio. I'm just one part of it. So thank you to you guys, man.
And thank you for everybody that's tapped in today, and thank you for everybody that's tuned in here. If you're listening to this on Let's Chat and Jam, then you're going to hear some. So this is it. If you're listening to us on Undiscovered Gems, then coming up later, we got some music coming up for you. So make sure you tap into that. So otherwise, folks, thank you for tapping in. We got to get going. We ran out of time, unfortunately, but it's been a great time. So thank you so much for your time, R.E.C. And you be easy. And everybody else, if you have a dream, a passion, and a goal, then go for it, because only you can stop you. And
Only
nothing
you.
beats a failure but a try. So go on out there and make it happen, folks.
Make it happen. It's not going to come to you. You got to wake up every day and go get it. Thank you, my man, MC Andrew Love. I love you, brother. I appreciate it. We'll chat again for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we will. We'll definitely chat again. Peace out.